I went to Japan a few years ago, and I was mesmerized by how flawlessly that country had mastered the art of rail travel. You can quite literally get anywhere in that country by spending a couple bucks and hopping on a train. They run on such a tight shift, it's like some kind of long mechanical snake ballet. Not 60 seconds after one train leaves, another one would pull in to replace it. And the standout among all of this engineering magic is, of course, the bullet train, or in Japanese, the Shinkansen, traveling across the island at speeds in excess of 199 miles per hour. On a fucking train. East Coast to West Coast, in complete comfort, in nearest makes no difference, 3 hours or less. On a fucking train. Truly a wonder of modern science. And speaking of wonders of modern science and engineering, this is the Bestek Shinkansen, a full-size titanium front flipper frame lock that is as sleek and streamlined as its namesake. I mean, the resemblance is kind of uncanny. Set it upright on the blade spine and you can see why it bears the name. The milled grooves at the top of the scales and the upswept titanium pocket clip give it that moving while standing still aesthetic. I really appreciate those little touches. Even the jimped and anodized titanium backspacer kinda looks like the engineer's cockpit. Is that what it's called? Anyway. And because this is a front flipper, that streamlined aesthetic is uninterrupted front to back. Because, I mean, after all, we're trying to keep that drag coefficient as low as possible here. I've done a lot of digging on this knife to find out exactly who designed it, but all I can come up with is that it's an in-house design from Bestech. And if you go through their insanely massive list of in-house design knives, you will notice that it can be hit or miss. And you may also notice that because of the sheer size of their catalog, it's easy for one particular knife to get lost in the crowd. And I'm kind of afraid that that's what's happened here. We have a lot of nice little details on this thing. The extremely well done carbon fiber inlays add a little extra pop to the overall looks, even though they are held on by 2 Torx screws. Not sure why they did it that way, but whatever. It's not a deal breaker, just a little strange. We have a nice blue pivot collar to match the other blue accents, and there's this nice stepped milling on the pivot itself. It all looks great to my eyes. The flipper tab up top is, like the rest of the knife, nothing less than full-sized. But then, I mean, it would need to be to get that full-size 3.54-inch drop point S35VN blade to swing open. And that tab is heavily jimped, making it a breeze to get good traction on when you go to actuate it. Overall, the aesthetics are simple, but then again, so are the aesthetics of an actual bullet train, and I think those are like the coolest fucking things on wheels. The action is where this thing really steps things up. In the past, mixing a front flipper with a frame lock has been a rough affair at best. We're running on ceramic bearings with a ceramic detent ball, and although the detent is a little mushy, it's tuned flawlessly for a front flipper. And because the flipper tab has that little divot in it, getting hold of it with your thumb or the side of your finger is as easy as can be. This thing flies open with some serious authority, and it has been one of, if not the most reliable front flipper action in my entire collection. Unlike a lot of front flippers, the actuation is a completely mindless task, which I assure you is a good thing. You've got that cutaway to guide your thumb and or finger up and over, and you get a nice satisfying click from the frame lock kicking into place. And it's all very solid and rugged feeling throughout the actuation process. Oh baby, this thing with those bearings and that big heavy blade is top tier guillotine drop shut, and silky smooth on the way down. The action here is so smooth and addicting, I have literally flipped it continuously for so long that the side of my index finger started to bleed. So beware the jimping if you're a freak like me. Now let's move on to that simple and elegant 3.5-inch S35VN drop point blade. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but we've got ourselves one hell of a slicer on that Shinkansen. You've got this kind of awkwardly shaped sharpening choil thingy that is a bit too risky for me to call a finger choil, and we've got a nice thin stonewash flat grind that comes about 85-ish% of the way up the blade till it meets that satin flat. And this really nice looking swedge that goes out to the tip. And even though we're working with some pretty substantial blade stock, it's super thin behind the edge and checks all of my boxes as far as atom splitting sliciness goes. And after 6 months of regular EDC use, she's only needed 1 or 2 quick strops, and honestly, I don't think it really even needed it. I suppose I'm just obsessed with blade maintenance. The ergos are solid, especially considering the extremely simple and kind of boxy design language. I would have loved for that choil on the blade to be just the tiniest bit more usable and less scary, but outside of that, everything tip to ass has been perfectly chamfered or knocked down, so we have no hot spots or pinch points, and the clip disappears into the palm. And all in all, for as big and boxy as it is, it's a dream in the hand and extremely comfortable, especially during heavier use. and you get plenty of grip from all that jimping as well. Definitely not something I would use with KY jelly all over my hands, but great in normal day-to-day use. So in closing, when this bullet train pulled into the station, I was blown away by it, and I still find myself gravitating towards it when I want something dressy and luxurious looking, but I might still need a hardy and well-built knife for any more difficult tasks that could come my way. At $199 retail, I really see a lot of value here, especially for the kind of build quality and materials we're getting. And aside from that, you're getting a hell of a lot of knife. I think it's a shame this knife has been so slept on. It's top tier fidget friendly action, super slicey S35VM blade with excellent geometry, and it's fancy enough for even the most luxurious of dinner parties. So if you like the looks and you're a fidget freak like me, this one is definitely a piece that is worth checking out. So, until next time, thank you for watching. Bye bye now.